My guest today is the tip of the spear for Wells County real estate, a 1977 graduate of Southern Wells High School, and a true staple of the community for as long as I can remember, celebrating his 42nd year in real estate, obviously starting when you were 8 years old.
You bet.
Everyone, help me welcome Mr. Jody Holloway of Coldwell Banker Holloway. Jody, how's it going?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Just living the dream.
I think so
Yeah.
too. I think so too. So a couple questions I always start out asking is I want to know if you're an iPhone user or an Android user.
Android.
Android. Well,
Yeah.
we're opposites, so
Okay.
that's okay. I would think that you would like the Apple. It seems to be very easy to use, but I
Yeah.
won't convince you otherwise.
No, you
we'll
won't.
go with
That's all
right. Okay, TV. I want to know if you're a Netflix user or Hulu, just Comcast, satellite.
Really and truly don't watch much TV.
You don't watch much TV. You're better off not watching the news. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
If I'm watching TV, it's going to be the Discovery Channel,
Uh-huh.
the History Channel, probably the Weather Channel,
Uh-huh.
but just don't watch much TV.
Good. You're too busy taking care of other people to watch TV then. That's what I think.
You can think that. That's good.
Okay. I want to know, turn back the clock with me as far as you want to go. I want to know about you, the school that you went to, how you got into real estate, your travels through real estate leading you to the position that you're in today.
Wow. That's quite a loaded question. I mean, I started selling real estate back when Moby Dick was still a guppy. You know, the Dead Sea, I don't even think was even sick yet back then. Okay. So it's been, like you say, about 42 years ago. Pretty much right out of high school. Right in high school, I actually got my auctioneer's license. The auctioneer's license led into getting the real estate license, and then went full time in the real estate license in the real estate business with another firm here in town, and had a great mentor, Bob Ellenberger. Bob was my almost kind of an office dad, if you would.
Sure.
Anyway, 12 years ago, almost 12 years ago, we went out on our own and started our own office and hit the ground running and never looked back.
So you started with Bob and spent a good amount of time in your career there before you.
Yeah, I was actually their manager at their office for a number of years.
Yeah.
And then, it just come to the point in time when it was time to go on our own.
What two questions then. What prompted you to get into real estate at 18 years old?
Bob.
Yeah.
All that I wanted to be was an auctioneer.
Yeah.
And Bob said, if you're going to be important to our company, you need to sell real estate too. And I said, I'm not interested in real estate. I want to be an auctioneer. He said, you didn't hear me. If you want to be important, you're right, Bob. I want to get my real estate license.
Very good.
And that's what got me into their business. Because before that, I only just wanted to be an auctioneer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's neat. So then you say, like I said, 12 years ago, so 2009 or so?
Yeah, 2009.
2009. Coldwell Banker, you teamed up with that name and
right.
Yeah.
We had managed the Coldwell Banker office here prior, and then when we went out on our own, of course, then our name goes behind it. Back in 2009 was right as the real estate market was kind of crashing, and when I went to our attorney and said I wanted to go out on our own to start our own business, he tried to talk me out of it.
Yeah.
He said, don't you know what's happening in the market? In 07, 08, those were bad years for real estate, but we did it anyways, and I'm sure glad we did. It just after that the market turned around and we were positioned real good to hit the ground running, and we did.
Yeah, well, it's two great names, obviously they're together, but Coldwell Banker and Mr. and Mrs. Jody, it goes hand in hand. How I look at it now, and two great people. I know you have a strong team of agents behind you too, but tell me what you believe is the reason that buyers do business with you guys and your office, maybe over another office, or what do you think sets your office apart?
Well, I wouldn't want to say over another office particularly, because it's not my gig to put anybody down. But our reputation, for one, we treat people like they want to be treated, like they deserve to be treated. Education, we've been in this business a long time. We try to educate our agents, try to give them the good training that they need, and then we kind of mentor our agents just like I had been mentored. And if they have any question at all, if that phone rings, we answer it. We take the agents' calls to help them because they're probably sitting there with a customer needing help as well. And just having that support, having the experience, having the training and that goes into it, and the reputation, frankly. So, and then having the franchise behind us, having the Coldwell Banker franchise and the resources that they give us, I could never develop and pull together on my own as an independent. And there's just a wealth of information there that we can tap into, that training particularly, that helps us kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that too. Again, it's two great names. You have Coldwell Banker, and then your own name, experience for the last 42 years in this area. You know the market, you know the people. So that's got to help, and that's got to being a mentor is it's good to help newer agents see how it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
And you know how it's supposed to be done, or you wouldn't be in it 42 years.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I'll say that. You know, a home purchase is the biggest purchase of most people's life.
Most people's lives.
What reason should people use a realtor over, say, just sticking a sign in the yard? What does having a realtor really offer? Through a buyer or seller?
In one sense, I've already kind of answered that. In a sense, the experience, the market knowledge. You know, I don't know how many times people say, well, on Zillow, my house is worth. Well, Zillow's never been to your house. Okay, the Zillow's never walked through your kitchen. Zillow's doesn't know the updates. So it's the boots on the ground. It's the market knowledge. It's amazing how many homes you can be through in a month's time from showing other properties. So when it does sell, then you've got that knowledge of what the interior of that home looked like, where you can compare apples to apples other than just paper statistics to paper statistics. Okay, so having that market knowledge, having the experience to draw from years past, from market trends, this type of thing. But
would you mentioned Zillow there, and two questions there. Do you think, as a realtor, with the way that the real estate is going today, quicker sales, I would say, do you think that will ever replace a realtor? Do you think it will go to an online?
No, and there's actually online business models now that are developing. But there's nothing that beats the personal knowledge. There's still, a lot of the millennials, it's changed in their communication. They don't want to talk to you. They want to text. They want emails. But there's still a big segment of that market that needs that help, needs that advice, needs that counseling. Yeah, you can research stuff all on your own, but you can also find very contradicting information as well. And then markets are very, very localized. The market here in Bluffton is honestly a little different than it is in Ossene, even where you're from. And then you go to Fort Wayne, or you go to Decatur, or something like this. Every market is different. So, you need somebody that's got that knowledge of the local market of where you're dealing with.
I see, even in the insurance business, I see there is a small group of people that would prefer to shop online.
Sure.
The danger of that in my business, I see, is they didn't necessarily know what they were buying when they bought that particular type of a coverage, and that's where the experience comes in to guide them to make the right choices. Back to sticking a for sale by owner sign in the yard. Even last year, I don't think was as easy as it is right now. But homes are selling fast. So, do you have an idea or a thought of what is causing that shortage of homes being for sale?
We could get into a 20-minute discussion or longer about that. It goes back, as a real estate professional, we've seen this coming for several years. Every month there were a few more homes selling than there were homes coming onto the market. So as I just had showed you there a minute ago, you go back to 2017 and 18 and 16, and we seen this coming if you had your eyes open, but we just didn't know where it was going to stop. And honestly, it just never stopped, down to where today, here it is, July of 2021, there's actually 7 homes on the market in the 46714 zip code. which is actually better than it was 2 months ago.
Hmm.
So, we're coming back. In May, there was 4 homes. So now we've got 7, so we're almost double that market. But it's still, it all comes back to supply and demand. There's a lot of buyers out there. There's a strong market out there. But when there's no inventory and there's multiple buyers, that is supply and demand. It's driven the price up.
Mm-hmm.
Interest rates are still very affordable. They've started to creep up just a little bit. Okay, so it's not a 60-year low on interest rates anymore. It's a 55-year low. It's still a low interest rate.
Yeah.
Well below the 30-year average.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't think there's a better time to buy a house than right now because the interest rates are so low. But talk to me about the buying process, specifically from a first-time buyer's site. How does that first-time buyer even start the process? What are the beginning steps for that person?
The first thing they need to do is get with a lender and get pre-qualified for a loan so they know what their ability to buy is. And then you don't want to consider buying honestly at your maximum amount. If the bank tells you, for instance, you can afford a $100,000 home, you may not be comfortable making that payment on $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you figure out what that payment is, what are you comfortable with, and then back it down, and then look at homes in your price range. So many times I see buyers, when there's nothing for sale in their price range, they start wanting to creep up. Okay, and that's fine if they can afford it.
Mm-hmm.
But then before long, you're showing them homes that they can't afford,
Mm-hmm.
or you're showing them homes that they maybe shouldn't be buying. And it's not our business to tell them what to buy or what not to buy, but that puts them in a bunch. We don't want to sell them a home that's more than they can afford.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I want to keep them grounded on what they can make the payments on, and then a couple years from now, move up. That step up, buy the home, build some equity, step up to the next home. Your mom and dad didn't buy their first home and stay in it for
Mm-hmm.
all the years. It's stair steps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's very, very good example of stair step. But plus two, if you start looking at things outside of your price range, it's hard to ground yourself to back into your
you always
price
want
range.
that nicer home, but if if the outgo exceeds the income, then the upkeep will be your downfall.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Also, I guess right now, along with the best time that I think it is to buy because of the interest rates, I also think it's probably the best time to sell because of the supply and demand. But with rising property values, I've seen primary homes just purchased a few years ago, sold lately at a very nice profit. I don't believe that that's necessarily typical, but share your thoughts on that. And is there a fair timeline to say that you needed to own a home to recoup the closing costs, the buyer's fees, things like that? We're not there, are we?
Looking back over 40-some years, I mean, it's changed dramatically over the years. But typically, and this is not a typical market, typically, I had told people over the years, you probably need to plan to stay in your home, at least 3 years before you plan to sell it and net what you've paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you're right. We've seen people in a year's time sell and net a nice profit above and beyond their selling expenses. And again, that's great. It's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
This is a unique market that we're in. I've never seen anything like this
Mm-hmm.
with such a low inventory and such a high demand for housing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, right now, I've seen them do it in a year or even less.
Right.
But that's not normal. Three to maybe even sometimes in the past even 5 years. And back in 07, 08, if a person bought in like 06, they might have been in their home 10 years before.
Right.
Because the market went down probably close to 20%, and by the time it bottomed out and then started coming back up, that was several years there.
Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm. So I mean, talking about that was a housing bubble back at that time, and I'm not a real estate professional, but I don't really see that we're in a housing bubble.
I don't see a bubble. I don't see a bubble that's going to pop because today it's so much different market than the circumstances that set up for that back in 2007 and 8.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have near the same situation there that we have now in the marketplace.
Mhm.
It's just completely different. We could go into another 20-minute
Yeah, sure.
debate or discussion about that. But
Yeah.
different times.
Well, I've been talking about primary homes, and by primary I mean the house that you choose to live in up
Right.
till now. But what do you think about the rental business? Is this a good time for someone to get in the rental business, or a good time for landlords to think about selling? What's your take on investment properties as far as that, timing it with the real estate market that we're in today?
If a person was sitting on a number of rental properties right now, rent has gone up dramatically, just like the sales prices have. Rent's gone up a lot in the last couple of years, but also property values have. So maybe this might be a great time if a person was sitting on a number of rental properties, depending on how long they've owned them, depending upon what their long-term goal is, might be a real good time to cash in on some of those
Mm-hmm.
and turn them back to cash rather than keeping them as rentals, because just the way the market is. If the market would ever turn around, they could take that same money and come back and buy others
And maybe
at a lower
maybe,
market.
maybe
So,
go right back
yeah.
in the other way. Which, yeah. So that
But
would-
historically, to interrupt you there, historically, buying homes and renting them has been a good source of income and rental income for a lot of people. It's just the management end of it. You got to have a business mind.
you do have to
to-
look at it as
yeah.
a business.
You got to look at it as a business. You got to rent them with your business mind and not your heartstrings.
Hmm. And that's tough. And that's really tough
Very
for some
tough.
people.
Very tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To keep that separate. In investment, I've looked at real estate overall as an investment vehicle, and I haven't seen any, in my mind, better than real estate. I'm sure financial advisors would disagree with me, but it just seems like real estate and land has done nothing but go up, shy of that short little bubble
Yeah,
that we have.
there've been some ups and downs over the years, but historically speaking, real estate's been where a lot of people have made their
Yeah.
their investment goals realized.
Talk to me about, and I know you don't have a crystal ball, but talk to me about what you think over the next 5 years, where we're going, and do you think that it matters if the Fed does raise the interest rate in a couple years from now? Do you think that will
Well, I
slow
don't
or
think
speed?
the interest rates have got anywhere to go but up, to
Yep.
be real honest with you. Again, we're a couple months ago, we were at a 60-year low. My goodness, where can they go from there?
Mhm.
You know, they can only go one way. So as the real estate market goes forward, yeah, my crystal ball is a little foggy for 5 years down the road. But, you know, again, historically, it's always been a great investment. Good place to put money. Good,
Mhm.
you know, it's when the interest rates go up, a person's buying ability is going to come down a little bit. So that might change the market, or at least what they can afford
I
to
see.
pay. But it's still, I don't see anything but the market's going to stay strong for some time. You know, we're at a high right now. Will we come off that a little bit? It's probably going to level out a little bit, but I don't see it becoming weak by any means.
So for
Too many
instance,
buyers.
what you're saying though is, if the interest rate, and it will go up, it's just a matter of when it
Yeah.
will go up. But when it does go up, maybe right now I could buy $100,000 house with the interest rate where it is, but maybe I can only afford an $85,000 house if the interest rates
Yeah,
go
exactly.
up.
Once the interest rates go up, you may be buying in the 85 or 90 rather than a $100,000 home now.
Mhm.
But
So if that was the case, do you think that will correct part of the market, or
the supply is going to have to come back in order to correct this market anomaly that we're in right now.
Mhm.
The more homes that come onto the market, then there won't be the 6 and 7 offers on homes.
Mhm.
You know, we'll get back to maybe negotiating the price rather than, okay, how much over list price do you want to pay?
Mhm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems fair. If I was selling a house right now, what are some quick updates or prep work that you might give me? What could I do to increase the value? What would your advice be to a seller in today's market?
Well, a lot of it's honestly just for the just generic answer is going to be paint and carpet. Okay, walk through it with a buyer's eye and look and see if the stuff that you've just overlooked for the last couple of years, look at it with the buyer's eye and say, wow, that room does need painted, or boy, this carpet really does need replaced. and those are typically things that will get you a good return on the money. Um, it wouldn't hurt to have the real estate agent of your choice walk through it, hope it's us, and walk through it and give you some ideas. There's things that would be cost effective that would make you money. There's also things that you might think you need to do that's not going to get you return on your investment, your dollar spent. Let that go.
So I hear that, and you said something that fix something that you've been overlooking all these years, and that's funny because so many people do that. They don't mind the crack in this wall that might be to a buyer. They think there's a structural issue now because there's a crack in this wall, whereas it could have been an easy cosmetic fix.
Well, a real typical one is a stain on the ceiling. Okay, you've seen that stain. Okay, it's 20 years old. It was because the roof leaked at one time, and that's why you put the new roof on it. But that stain still is on the ceiling. Well, it's going to be there until you fix it. So that might be something in order to eliminate questions or doubt. Maybe it's time to paint that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where I think that having a real estate professional come walk through there with you with a second eye to look at some of those things and to point out to a seller, hey, let's take care of this, and that's going to help you out. Flipping that around though, right now, let's pretend I'm the buyer. What advice would you give me as a first-time home buyer to purchase the perfect house for me, or the best price? Any words of advice on home shopping for a first-time buyer?
The one thing I tell lots of first-time home buyers, and I tell this to about everybody, look at it a second time if you can. You'll walk through it the first time and you'll see things, but you'll walk through it the second time and see more things. Or maybe you've seen it the first time and you forgot. Take a look at it the second time, and you're more apt to go into it with both eyes wide open. Always have a home inspection. Always have a home inspection. The time to find a deal killer is before you own the home. And maybe you don't want to spend that $300-400 for a home inspection, but that's money very well spent. Again, the time to find that deal killer is before that's your problem to fix now. If you're writing the offer and you're having the inspection and you find something major, maybe a crack in the heat exchanger for the furnace, maybe broken trusses up in the attic, maybe something that the seller didn't even know. But that's the time to find them before it's your problem.
So that's good advice. I would say the looking several times is tougher maybe in today's market now. But I think you're exactly spot on with that because maybe the first instant that you see it, you love everything. And
you can only absorb so much. It seems like you're not going to remember all the details, and it's funny to walk people back through and I don't remember that at all. Well, you were so overwhelmed with everything else you were seeing, your mind just didn't process that. So
that's interesting. Jody, it's a pleasure. Tell the people how to get a hold of you.
We're Coldwell Banker Holloway, 1103 South Main Street in Bluffton, right across from the Old Wells Community Hospital. Our website, if you care to go on the website, it's justthinksold.com. Run those three words together, no dots or spaces between them. And phone number is 824-7653.
824-SOLD. So if you are buying or selling a home in today's market, give Coldwell Banker Holloway a call. Mr. and Mrs. Jody will help you out.
Right. Many times when they call, they want to talk to the pretty Jody, which is my wife, or the other Jody.
Mr. and Mrs. Jody. Thank you.
Hey.
Pick a card.
Got a card. Would you rather be able to record your thoughts or your dreams while you're asleep?
Record my thoughts
or your dreams.
Or my dreams while I sleep. That's a good question. Many times I've woken up from a dream thinking I wish I would remember what that was exactly. But I would say that I would choose thoughts. I have random thoughts, and just as you're doing other things, and then sometimes you tend to forget what they were, and maybe it was a great idea. So I'm going to go with recording my thoughts.
Record your thoughts. Probably a good answer.
Yeah.
I was kind of thinking about the same line.
Yeah, yeah. Dreams are interesting, though.
Yeah.
So. Okay, top of the deck. I'll choose another card. For
Okay,
you.
good. Thank you.
Would you rather spend the night in a dumpster or a porta potty?
It depends on if they're both clean or if they're both dirty. Okay. I think without much question, I'd go with the dumpster.
I think you're exactly right. I would probably go with the dumpster.
You know, I've seen couches in dumpsters. Okay.
It's gonna
Yeah.
be a great night. I can tell.